The war in Ukraine has entered day 32 and Russia's war machine is not slowing down. The Russian Defense Ministry shared video footage of an airstrike on a Ukrainian Buk missile system performed by an Iskander in basements, in fact, are trying to save themselves amid the destruction around them. Fresh explosions were reported near Ukraine's western city of Lviv as President Joe Biden wrapped up his visit to neighboring Poland. Meanwhile, Ukraine's capital has announced a new 35-hour curfew. Kiev mayor said the curfew, in fact, will run from 8 p.m. local time on Saturday to 7 a.m. on Monday, with locals, in fact, only allowed to leave their residence to get to a bomb shelter. But that curfew order was eventually revoked. Meanwhile, the southern port city of Mariupol has suffered relentless shelling since Russia began its operation in Ukraine. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky expressed gratitude towards his soldiers on National Guard Day. Zelensky awarded troops and had photos taken with them.
Let's go. This is the name of the cycle factory. It was a bicycle factory. Ardes, a big cycle factory here, which was destroyed by this missile strike. Look, the smoke in the air everywhere, and the whole factory was destroyed. This is the name, Ardes. Look here, from this end to the that end, which is about 200 meters away, everything destroyed.
Foreign Affairs editor Geeta Mohan, who is in Donbass, explains what do the Z and V signs across the rebel stronghold of Donetsk mean.
We are here in Donetsk. That's the Z sign on most of the cars here in Donetsk. What does Z denote? Z denotes independence. Russia and the breakaway factions of Donbass region, Donetsk, what they call Donetsk People's Republic, DPR, are together fighting the Ukrainians. And the two signs that they use are signs that Ukraine also recognizes distinctly as being anti-Ukraine, which is V for victory and Z for independence. In Donetsk, you will not see a lot of V signs, you'll see Z. Why? Because the call is for independence. So a lot of cars over here that you see have the Z sign, only saying that they do not want to remain with Ukraine. They want independence, something that Russia supports. Why? Because having a pro-Russia Donbass region means security for Russia, with a pro-Western or pro-West tilting Ukraine, that certainly has not gone down well for Moscow. And with the kind of increased involvement of West with the Ukrainian authorities in Kyiv, it seems like this call in Donbass is supported and backed by Russia. With the journalist Satya Rautre in Donetsk, Geeta Mohan for India Today.
The western Ukrainian city of Lviv, which has acted as a safe space for Ukrainians fleeing the war, has become the latest target of Russian airstrikes. According to reports, 3 loud explosions were heard near Lviv on Saturday, triggering air raid sirens in the city. 5 people were injured in the blast in the outskirts of Lviv. Heavy black smoke was seen rising from the northeast side of the city. The attack on the western city came at a time US President Joe Biden was in Poland, leaving a distance of only 400 kilometers between Biden and the missile strikes. India Today's Gaurav Sawant gives you the latest updates on day 32 of Putin's invasion of Ukraine.
Late-night missile strikes in Lviv have sparked off fresh fears that Russia is now systematically targeting the western part of Ukraine, so far considered relatively safe. Though the West has been targeted in the past with missile strikes both in Lviv and at the Ivano-Franko airbase, this time 5 people were injured in a strike that took place not far at a fuel dump, a strategic fuel dump that the Russians feel was being used to supply fuel to the Ukraine army and militia. Locals here say that if even Lviv is not safe, they will then have to flee to Poland. That's the only place for them to go. The situation here remains extremely grim. Kyiv, by and large, has remained peaceful, but the Russians now appear to be consolidating their positions towards the south and the east of the country. Overall, In the Donbass region, the Russians are advancing forward to consolidate their position in Donetsk and Luhansk, even as the Ukraine army has insisted it's mounted a series of counterattacks, destroying a number of Russian tanks, armored personnel carriers, and neutralizing some Russian troops. But in the fog of war, it is unclear on day 32 if Ukraine is able to strike back and hard at the Russian strongholds. Ukraine has also insisted it's mounted a series of counterattacks in the Kherson region in the south, and that is where the Russians have completely cut off Ukraine from the Sea of Azov and the Black Sea. From Mariupol to Kherson, the Russians once again trying to consolidate their position, even as Ukraine's forces try to strike back. With cameraman Lalit Mohan Joshi in Lviv, Ukraine, Gaurav Sawant for India Today.
As the war between Russia and Ukraine enters its 32nd day, US President Joe Biden's Poland visit comes as a massive statement against the Russian aggression. From visiting US troops guarding NATO's eastern flank to witnessing the humanitarian toll of the Russian war firsthand, Biden took stock of the war that has put the whole world on the edge. Here's a report.
A month into Putin's invasion in Ukraine, defiant despite reverses. And now, US President Joe Biden's Poland visit comes as a massive statement against Russian aggression. From visiting US troops guarding NATO's eastern flank to witnessing the humanitarian toll of the Russian war firsthand, Biden took stock of the war that has put the whole world on the edge. After meeting the refugees who fled Ukraine amid the Russian assault, the US president did not hold back.
You're dealing every day with Vladimir Putin. I mean, look at what he's done to these people. What does it make you think? He's a butcher.
In a first since the start of the war, Biden held a meeting with the Ukrainian ministers in Warsaw, sending across a message of solidarity for President Zelensky leading Ukrainian fight back.
President Zelensky was democratically elected. He's Jewish. His father's family was wiped out in the Nazi Holocaust. And Putin has the audacity, like all our autocrats before him, to believe that might will make right.
Concluding his trip with an address in the Polish capital with a significant message to the war-torn country.
This war is not worthy of you, the Russian people. Putin can and must end this war. The American people will stand with you and the brave citizens of Ukraine who want peace.
Biden also dared Putin to keep his sight away from NATO.
American forces are in Europe, not in Europe, to engage in conflict with Russian forces. American forces are here to defend NATO allies. The reason we want to make clear is their movement on Ukraine don't even think about moving on one single inch of NATO territory.
The West has piled sanctions on the Russian economy, and it's already crumbling under its weight. Biden has made it clear that the squeeze won't stop.
Russian economy was ranked the 11th biggest economy in the world before this invasion. It will soon not even rank among the top 20 in the world.
With the war entering the fifth week, will the economic cost deter the unbendable Putin? Most crucially, will Biden's biggest ultimatum turn the tide for this war? Or will it make the US-Russia Cold War red hot?
US President Joe Biden's speech here in Poland, in Warsaw, was well received by a large number of people who said it gives them hope that the US stands with Warsaw, with Poland, with NATO countries. But there is a fear. The fear is, what about Ukraine? The fear is that what about the military hardware? Humanitarian assistance worth $1 billion for Ukraine is very good. But what about the military hardware that Ukraine requires very desperately to continue fighting with the Russians? Ukraine has demanded additional fighter jets. It's demanded the S-300 missile defense system. It's also demanded additional tanks. Will Ukraine get it, or will the fight remain restricted to small arms or the Javelin anti-tank guided missiles? That question remains. Gaurav Sawant in Warsaw, Poland for India Today.